What's up? What's up? What's up? We back. We back. I just left y'all, but I'm back again. So thank y'all for coming back to check us out. This is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. This is your guy, Mike Robinson. Tonight we have another great, amazing guest. And yes, and no, Doctor is not a stage name. She actually is a doctor, has a doctorate in philosophy. Her name is Dr. Tiffany Coleman McGee, as you can see, aka Miz Tiffany. She has an interesting background. Not only is she highly educated, she is also a rapper, a musician, artist extraordinaire. She's an entrepreneur from the South. Jackson, Mississippi is where she's from. We're going to sit down with her and just chop it up with her and, get the who's, what's, and whys of what she does. She has an amazing story. When I reached out to her, I'm going to tell you that never have I received a reply back like your reply, because I got songs, I got bio, I got pictures, listen, anything that I thought that I wanted to know, she made sure it was in there, so I didn't even have to ask. And that was refreshing, and that was really, really good. So with that being said, those of you who may not be familiar with Dr. Tiffany, aka Miz Tiffany, I'm going to give her a moment to kind of reintroduce herself and give a little background to who she is and some of the things that she has going on. So with that being said, Dr. Tiffany, this is your time to shine. You got the floor.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you for having me on Let's Take a Walk. My name is Miz Tiffany, and I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, as he said before, a native of Jackson. And, I've been writing for a long time, and not just music, but I've written books. I'm an author. I have two children's books and one manifestation journal that I wrote, a couple years ago. And I'm also an actress. I've been featured on shows like Empire and Queen Sugar and NCIS New Orleans. And I now have the lead role of an independent film called Shield by His Grace. So y'all be on the lookout for that. It's being edited right now. I also am a model here and there, a gospel recording artist, of course, songwriter, multi-award winning. I've been on international platforms. And so, I'm known in other countries. Being from Jackson, Mississippi, it hasn't been the most easiest thing and easiest feat with trying to break ground in a way, in a pivotal way at a pivotal time when God, spoke to me all those years ago and called me into the ministry of hip hop. I didn't know which direction this thing was going to go, but I just obeyed and, put that seed in the ground. And 10 years later, so much has happened. I've become a 3-time Stellar Award nominee, the first female rapper to ever receive an official nomination from the Stellars. So that's been pretty cool. I'm a voting member of the Recording Academy, aka the Grammys, and so much more. So many more things that I could list out and say that I have done. Y'all have to go and read the biography. I don't even want to say all of this stuff sometimes because I think people may think that you're bragging or whatever, but that's not the case. But you should tell, artists as an artist or whatever your thing is, you should tell about your accomplishments and your accolades and the things that have happened, because I'm sure that you had to do a whole lot of hard work and be consistent, for a long time, maybe, to get to where you are now. So yeah, all of that.
Wow, that's amazing. Listen, like I said, never have I received such a complete email from a potential guest on this platform.
What do these guests send to you? What do they? Talk about that for a minute, because artists may be listening.
It's not that they don't. It's not that they send me incomplete stuff. I've just never received so much stuff. You know what I mean? So like,
Oh, did I spend too much though? Did I spend too much?
No, absolutely not. I was just pleasantly
You better
surprised.
know
I
what
was
to say.
pleasantly surprised.
You better know what to say though.
Yeah, no, I was definitely pleasantly surprised because usually I very rarely ever get music, at least not without asking first. Um, that let's start there,
Wow.
and then the full complete bio, pictures, the whole thing. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, I know this is gonna be good because because she did the most. Um,
So to the artists out there, I just want to add this little tidbit because we want to educate while we are, talking about some of these things. To
yeah,
the artists out there, when you are sending emails out to podcasters, radio shows, program directors, and things of that nature, there are a few components that you need to have there. You should have, a really good professional quality picture there of yourself, maybe a headshot and maybe a full body shot. You need in the body of your email, your biography. It can be short because they don't have a lot of time. I have a little bit more detail because I have a lot of things that just need to be known. If a person is going to interview me, I would want them to know those facts. You want to include your song. You want to include your metadata, which is your ISRC, the date of release, if you're on a label, your name, the artist name, all of that, any featured artist. There's just, put that information out there. And it also should be encoded in your song as well. That same information that you send it to them should show up and appear if they were to pull it up on a file on a computer or play it on the stereo. If you notice, if you ride in your car, if an artist gives you a CD and it says unknown on it, it's because they haven't encoded that particular track. But when the name shows up, then that means it's encoded. And so there's so much more, but we'll get into that. I think I'm going to do a workshop pretty soon.
Okay, cool. Let's start from the beginning, Miss Tiff. Let me back up for a second. How do I address you? Am I calling you Dr. Tiffany? Do I Dr. Coleman McGee?
I'm Tiffany. That's it.
Okay.
Tiffany.
Well, I'm definitely gonna.
Tiffany.
I'm definitely gonna put the.
I'm gonna always be. You can mix it up. You can mix it up.
Absolutely. Let's start from the beginning, man. Like let's talk about Miss Tiffany, the artist. Like, when did you? I guess this is a twofold question. When did you start? Writing raps or whatever, and when did you get to the point? Was there a moment or a series of moments that you got to the point where you're like, okay, I'm at the point now where I can actually put something out. I feel like I can put something quality out that people would enjoy. Like, what was the time span between the time you started doing it to the point where you felt confident enough to release something?
Well, yeah, it's a two-folded question and kind of a double two-folded answer for all of that. I started writing poetry when I was 7. I wrote my first song when I was 11 with a cousin of mine. It was it was like an R&B song. We were rapping and she was singing on it. And then when I turned 18 is when I started professionally recording. And I was a secular artist. I was a secular rapper. I didn't start out as a gospel artist, and and so I have a whole testimony behind that. But going to what you were asking about the release of the music and when the time was right for me or when it was appropriate, I remember after I had written the songs to my first EP, I Ain't Preaching to the Choir. God made me wait 4 whole years, y'all. 4 whole years before I ever released it. Like, he gave me these, these songs, and then made me wait. And I didn't want to put it out because I felt like my presentation had to be right. I couldn't be looking one way as a rapper and looking too, because it's gospel, it's ministry, it's modesty, right? And so I didn't want to put something out that wasn't fitting for that, but I also know that I needed to reach a certain ear, a certain listener, a certain crowd, which, amazingly, that has, it's been a universal thing, because I have people from 8 years old to their grandmothers who are 88 years old who enjoy some of the music from that particular album. So, but I know I waited. God made me wait, and then I kind of waited a little bit because I was like, this has to be right. So I waited until I had to sacrifice and work extra hours back then, and to make sure I had what I needed so that it could be right, the sound and the look of it.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that whole imaging thing in a second, because that's something I always talk to the artists about when I have them on the show. Their perspective on imaging, because you made an interesting point about the look versus the actual message. You wanted them to, if I'm hearing you correctly, you wanted them to link up. You want them to be, to match. So,
Yeah, they
but we're gonna.
had to complement. They had to complement each other.
So yeah, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. You are highly educated. You have a doctorate in philosophy. Um, can you tell us about that? Was that always the plan, or was that something that kind of was a surprise?
Actually, being in medicine was always the plan. Healing, health, being a medical doctor was really a part of the plan. Things happened. I started as an undergrad at Tougaloo College, and I was majoring in biology, and planned to either be a pharmacist or a doctor or something, and ended up switching my major to psychology one semester. And then I was riding with this rap group that I was a part of, this secular rap group, and one Easter Sunday, and then got into this car crash, and ended up in the hospital in intensive care in a coma. A doctor saying I'm clinically brain dead. Not functioning. No, nothing. Don't touch all this stuff. I was not responsive, and so my life changed. The path changed, and but God is amazing, because I remember 5 years ago when I was doing an interview with one of the local newscasters. She's very popular here, Maggie Wade. And Maggie asked where I saw myself in the next 5 years. And, I gave her a detailed kind of list of things that very brief, but detailed, very, just a couple of things that I saw myself doing, kind of prophetic. And I told her, that I wanted to obtain a doctorate by, 2023 or whatever the case may be. And it happened, and it was something that I always wanted to do. I used to kick myself because, after I got my bachelor's degree, I was the first in my family to do that. Once I got the bachelor's degree, I went on to get the master's degree in the midst of having this car accident and this brain injury, and pushing through that, becoming a master librarian, and then life just happening. You getting married, having children, and, now you caught up in that. And once I broke past the thought and the mindset that me being a mother and being a wife and having those duties was holding me back, and I realized that it was really not, and that they actually made my life better and enhanced the things that I was doing, and they were my motivation, and they made me go harder. Once I realized that, it was nothing that I would not try, and that I would not do, that God was a part of God's will. So yes, it was always planned to obtain a doctorate, and I just so happened to graduate this October with a Doctor of Philosophy in Christian Leadership and Business.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That is awesome. So,
yeah,
Dr. Tiffany, Miz Tiffany, the artist and the educator. You said that the education enhanced everything else that you were doing. Can you kind of like elaborate on that? How so? How did your education enhance the music, the artistry of it, or however, how did it influence
Well, it enhanced it in a couple of ways. So my education has been one of the strongest parts of my foundation, right? And
it?
so because I love to read and because I love to write and because literacy is one of the things that I push for children who are small. Early childhood literacy is very important. I remember being in a newspaper when I was in preschool, and that was probably the first time that I was ever in a publication with the lady who taught me how to read in preschool, right? And she's still living to this day. She's
Wow.
actually a relative on my dad's side of the family. But I
Okay.
remember being in my first publication in the newspaper and them highlighting her teaching me how to read and being a part of this program or whatever. And so literacy has been a strong part of my foundation, and it has helped me to trickle over into other areas. And so I'm not only just writing songs, but I'm studying the platforms. I'm researching. I'm, looking into what it takes to be eligible or to qualify or become, a member of this. Or how do you access? How do you get in to network? How do you, get yourself out there? And I believe that just because the education in me or the educator, and just the learner, just I'm just a learner, right? I would never say that I know everything because I'm always trying to learn something new. But that part of me seeks information, and so I think that has helped me because a lot of times people don't know they could succeed and they could do better if they knew better, if they
Right.
had the information, if they had the knowledge
Right.
base. But a lot of
Right.
times we don't go seeking for that, and so therefore you forfeit some of your opportunities or some of your access because of just not knowing, right? And so I'm
Right.
always sharing information, just like you mentioned before with the emails that you receive and versus compared to the email that I sent. There's a sheer difference, and I'm not saying that those people aren't educated by a long shot. I'm not saying that, but they may not have the appropriate knowledge base. And when it comes to sending communications to people in radio or podcasters or what all you need, I've done it for so long, researched it. Someone
Right.
taught me through a workshop, and so I know those components to add, and it was because I went looking for it though, right? So it just didn't
Right.
fall in my lap. I had to go and seek that, and yeah. So education has been the vehicle for me. What I learned, what I would like to learn and like to know, and what I continue to strive, to know. So education will forever always be the root.
Yeah. It's kind of a funny dynamic because especially in hip hop, the thing is to
Mhm.
highlight your rough upbringing, what hood you from. Even in the gospel realm, I found like highlighting the things that you may have done in your past. Some people talk about robbing. They used to rob, they used to steal, they used to run with gangs, that whole thing. But here you are,
Right.
you have an amazing story. And it's funny that I didn't know about the car accident and all that, but it's funny that you mentioned that because God had been talking to me for the last couple of weeks about misusing misusing the struggle. And what I
Mm.
mean by that is there are some people who go through things such as what you did with the car accident, being in a coma. Some people would use that as an excuse to fold up and not do anything.
Yeah.
But there are others like yourself who take that and use that. And what people don't realize is that just as much as God wants us to be good stewards of the gifts and the blessings that he gives us, he's showing me that we have a
Mhm.
responsibility to be good stewards of the bad things that happen to us too. So like
Definitely
you
keep
could
it
have
going.
Said it again.
I said we can definitely keep it going, good or bad.
Right. So we have to be good. So we have to be good stewards of even the negative things, because God gave that to us too. You know what I'm saying? He allowed it for us to use as a weapon, as encouragement, as a testimony, as something to help someone else. But sometimes we'll take that struggle that we went through, and we'll use it as an excuse to be bitter, or to stay to ourselves, or to give up on people, or push away our faith. You know what I'm saying? We'll use that as an excuse to not have faith. Because how can this thing happen to me? I love God, but yet I'm in a coma. You know what I mean? So to hear you say that, um, it's more confirmation to what I've been kind of hearing lately. Um, moving
Interesting.
forward. I was listening to we talked the other day, or we chatted the other day about some of the songs that you sent me on the email, and I'm
Mhm.
and I'm listening to them, and let me say I was very, very impressed. I'm from New York, so that's part of my DNA. So
Hey,
so
somebody from New York tell you you can rap, you can rap.
nah, I don't. I actually sing, actually, but but when I was younger, when I was like maybe in third, fourth grade, I try to rap a little bit, but nah, nah.
I
But I
wasn't
was,
asking you that. I said if someone from New York says that you can rap, that
oh,
means
got
that
you,
you can.
got you,
Yeah,
got you.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We can be very, very rough on. If you're not, we got Jadakiss, we got Jay, we got Nas, we got Fab. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's hard, it's hard. But I was listening to your music, and again, I was very impressed. Not that I thought it was not
Mhm.
gonna be good, but I was very impressed by, what you were able to do. Not to mention the features, the people that you were able to do the music with. Like I told you about the Robert Curry joint, and I'm like, how
Oh
did
yeah.
that come about? You know what I'm saying? That's one of my favorite. To this day, even though they haven't put out anything in a while, that's still one of my. That's one of my favorite groups. That's one of my go tos, um,
Wow.
or whatever. But how did that come about?
I just reached out to him. So I had this song called Praise His Name that I wrote probably in 2017 or something. And I could never find the right singer for it, the right voice. And I didn't ask many people because I wanted to protect it, because I felt like this is great. It has to be the right person has to be singing on it.
Right.
In order for it to come across the way in which I'm attempting to help it to come across, make it come across. So I held on to it for years, about 5 years probably.
Yeah.
And I had asked another friend of mine, and she tried to sing it. My mom was like, "You should sing it yourself." And 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 I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? God gave me a revelation. So we were having this church service one day, and I was telling everyone what their first names meant, right? Because everybody needs to know what their names mean, your first and your last name, but especially your first name, because it has a lot to do with your nature and, probably the reason why God needed you in the earth, or what your mother or whoever named you needed at the time, can be
Right.
tied to your name, and it becomes a part of you and your purpose, and so everything means something. And one of the members in the congregation, his name is Robert. And when I was researching, I found that Robert means praise, or he's
Mm,
worthy. And so um I gave me the revelation, and I was like, praise his name. I need a singer, need a singer. Running across Instagram, saw Robert Curry on a clip or whatever. I follow his page. And I was like, you know what? tried to reach out to Rob, and he's actually friends with a friend of mine, Mike the Chaplain. Mike is on that song too on Praise His Name. And but I reached out to Robert. He responded. I sent him the email. He sent me back, everything. Mike helped with mixing the vocals and all of that. And and we did it. That's how it happened.
Wow, that's amazing because I'm sure that a lot of artists can attest to the fact that it does not happen like that. It doesn't happen like that for everybody. Very, very tough tune. Very, very tough. And an old time religion. That joint is super hard. That joint is crazy. Like I played that joint about 6 times in a row. Like,
wow.
So what's the story behind that song? I believe Jason Hairston was on it with you. What's the story behind that song?
So one of the verses, so I was looking for filler songs to go ahead and complete this album. He's Been Good. This is my sophomore album. And Praise His Name was one of them. I recorded about 8 or 9 when I was in St. Paul, Minnesota with Tri Bishop. And so pretty much most of the album was done. About 80% of it was done. Needed 2 more songs. And so I decided to bring Praise His Name in on the scene and make it a part of the album after Robert agreed to sing it. And then I had a verse that was years old, right? And I rewrote it, rearranged some things in it. And I decided, hey, you know what? I think I should flip old time religion. It's public domain now. Everybody else is redoing it. But I've never heard anyone rap it, or rap to it or flip it to hip hop. And so I set out to do it and just kind of flipped old time religion. And that helped me to write, the final verse and the other components and arrangements of the track.
That's amazing. Okay, so
it's about. This thing is delayed. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, finish your thought. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, old time religion is really like a oxymoronic type of song in the way in which it's laid out and written. I'm saying, give me that old time religion, but I'm rapping it, and old time religion is probably not as receptive to, it's more traditional. It's not as receptive to hip hop music or the sound of it or the merging of the two. And so I'm asking for it, but I'm rapping while I'm asking for it. And so I think that it's good to hold to some of those old roots, though, the things that our grandmother taught us and that we shared, with our matriarchs and older family members, those things that were ingrained. I think we should hold to them, It says train a child up in the way in which it should go, and you won't depart from it. Well, we have to hold on to the foundation and to our roots, but we also know that God can be all things to all men, and so if He wants to minister gospel through hip hop, then He can do that as well. And so it's kind of like saying don't be hypocritical. We got to progress and move past tradition. However, I still need that old time religion too.
And and my next question was going to be right along those lines. So I'm like, Jackson, we in Jackson, Mississippi. Okay, I've never been to Jackson, Mississippi. I'm from upstate New York. I live in Virginia, and all I know about Mississippi is what I've heard about Mississippi. Slavery days and that whole thing, right? And traditional church values, just like you said, old time religion. That's what I have heard. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, what was the reception like when you came out talking about I want to rap, I want to be a Christian rapper? What was the reception like for that? Because just for a regular Christian artist somewhere else, I'm sure it's a challenge to even walk in that that calling.
Mhm.
So being in the deep South, in a very classic traditional, region when it comes to church and spiritualism and spiritualization and that type of thing. What was that like for you? Was it or is it a challenge for you being in that type of artist?
Mhm. Yeah, it started out as a challenge, and I can't put it all on, on Mississippi or even church folks or just a set of people, because on the, hip hop side of things, I had to see those people too, and so, but collectively, just to coin it and put it into, smaller terms. Yeah, I faced some opposition when I first started out. I think it's because it was new. A lot of times women in ministry are still frowned upon, depending on who and where you go, who you see, where you go. And then you have one who is saying that she is going to rap in these churches, old Baptist churches, and you know what I'm saying,
Right,
Baptist,
right.
whatever, whoever would allow the doors to be open. And I remember my first time performing, and there was this church mother who was on the front pew, and she was praying so hard when I was rapping. I ain't preaching to the choir, and I thought that she was praying against, but afterwards I found that I may have been wrong. So the harder she was praying in there, the harder I was rapping, right? And because I'm like, we got to break it's breaker's anointing. And so got to break past this religious spirit and really let God move and do what he needs to do for this next generation. And if he's doing it through rap music and through women or whoever, a person from Mississippi, then so be it, but all glory to God. Right. And so at the end of my first performance, she came up to me afterwards and she was like, "That's right, baby. Take it to the streets. Take it to the streets." And so she really liked it. She really liked it. She really enjoyed it. If they can just get past the beat, if they're hung up on a beat, but listen to the words, you can't deny it's a word from God. It's a rhema word. It's an on-time word. It's a ready word. It's a word of light. It's his word. It's coming straight from the heart of God. If you need to. See my phone making Siri making my phone talk and say all kind of stuff. But yeah, so I faced that opposition, and just imagine me, the obstacles that I've had to go through being in the deep South, being in Mississippi, where, even though we're the birthplace of America's music, still the music scene is not what it is in a Nashville or in Atlanta or Los Angeles or a New York. Right. And so all of that is going on. This gospel rap, it's not big in the state and big in the region. I'm having to travel out to these different places and, and get honor there. And then Providence, has no honor in his own country. That's what they say. But it actually turned, and they started to receive it when they saw other people in other regions receiving it and receiving me. And so I think people enjoyed it and they liked it. I don't think they have a big problem with gospel rap music. I think it just kind of really depends on who, is presenting it, how they feel about that person, and if they can receive it from that person. People know the difference when something is pure and when it's not. When it's a word of God and when it's not, when the anointing is there and when it's just gifting. And so I think that plays a big part and a big role in whether or not a group of people or a person or a certain region can receive this newness, the change.
Wow. The rap scene, especially now, you have drill music, you have trap music, you have all these different, new eras of music sprouting up. How much of a challenge is it for you to not chase a sound? Like how much of a challenge is it for you to stick to what Miss Tiff does, versus looking at your counterpart who might be doing something completely different and seemingly having more success? Like what's the what's the mindset, in those type of situations? Is that tough for you? Is that a challenge for you?
It's not a challenge for me at all. I love, the dirty South. I love how we sound. I love our accents. I love the production that we have musically, and is what I can't say it was I was always raised on that, but as an artist, as a rapper, then I was raised on that. That was my appetite. That was my diet. That was what fed me, and so that sound is in my ears. And I don't know if it would ever come out. Do I believe an artist should evolve? Yes, there should be an element of evolution and people should be able to see the growth. However, do I think you should imitate, copy, and follow, and jump on trends all the time and, and try to sound like them and that and all that? No. I remember there were some people who I met when I first started Christian rap, probably maybe 2 or 3 years into it. And they were interested in working with me. And then at some point, this is what turned me all the way off. They told me the names of some other female Christian rappers and to go listen to their music, and I need to sound like them.
Wow.
That I needed to sound like them. I knew then that I know these people probably like me, they love me, they may even think they have my best interest at heart. But if you know anointing and you know voice, that vocal print in the earth, the voice of the Lord, then you wouldn't be telling a person to switch over to sound like somebody else because they have a unique voice already. God gave it to them. I have a unique voice. God gave it to me. Right. And so what the energy that comes out and emits, when I speak or when I rap is different from when somebody else says it. So I can't try and sound like them because I don't need to. Right. Yeah. And when I knew then that we can work, but we ain't gonna work long because how dare you tell me I need to sound like somebody else? They need to sound like me, because yeah, I know what I'm saying is real. I can't speak for anybody else. And they had to come back and say, you know what? Congratulations 1,000 times because the very ones that they thought, were going to be that.
Yeah. I truly believe that we all have a remnant of people that are assigned to us, whether we actually come into contact with them or not. And so if that's the case, then God is going to tailor make me for that group, for that whatever path that he's leading me down. He's going to tailor make me for those, So if I go out here and I try to sound like Miss Tiff, then that makes him a lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it makes me out of order for the people that are waiting for me to do whatever. I tell people all the time, like, somebody might be having you might have a friend, for instance, that that supports you wholeheartedly. They go out and have a conversation with somebody that you don't even know, and they bring your name up, and it inspires that person to do something amazing, right? That's how and that's how it works. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even have to be there. Somebody could just mention your name or use you as an example of something, and then they use that as a as a catalyst for whatever their movement is. So definitely, I definitely get you on that. And that whole thing that you were talking about, going away and coming back. You don't know how many times I've sat on this platform and I've talked to artists about that very thing. It's no matter where you're at, no matter what region you're in, it seems like that's always the case. The people that are nearest to you that you would think are the ones that will support you most is not the case. You got to go away and then come back for them to, like,
if you can. Some places you don't need to go back to, depending on who you are.
That's a fact too. That's a fact too. We talk about even Jesus when he went back to his hometown. The people wouldn't even accept him because they remember the last time they saw him, he was, quote unquote just a carpenter's son. And so when he came back, even though they knew that he had done miracles, even though he had done great exploits, they still wouldn't receive him. You know what I mean? That's crazy. And sometimes, you know, and I, like I said, you don't know how many times I've had the same conversation with various artists. It's the same thing. I don't know what that is, but you know, no matter where you are, Georgia, Texas, Florida, Minnesota, wherever, it's the same story. That's crazy. He, he, let's talk about imaging. Okay. I'm looking at back to your emails. I'm looking at your pictures. I'm looking at the album covers and I'm looking at various shots that you had the on the email. When we look at imaging, even whether it be secular or in the Christian world, it has evolved a lot, you know, since we were kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
especially especially with the Christian in the Christian realm, you know, you had the women that were covered up, you know, nothing showing, nothing, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And they squalling and they doing their thing in that traditional way. Fast forward to now, you know, fashion has evolved. People are more free or open-minded, you know, with their fashion choices. And I interview a lot of artists on here, and I get a lot of different opinions on that very thing. So like mainly more so with women than with men. Sometimes with men, but mainly with women, especially and I respectfully, um, especially with women who are very
Say what you
curvy.
need to say.
They're,
Curvy.
they're,
Yeah.
they're, they're curvy. You know what I'm saying? And they can't help it. You know what I'm saying? So like no matter what they really wear, it's always going to to you know their gifts are going to always show, for lack of better words. And so I've had artists that'll tell you um modesty, no jewelry, no name brands, no nothing, no makeup, no nothing, right? Because you're representing God and God should be the focal point. But then on the other side, you have people that say, listen, if I wear Gucci, I wear Prada, I wear Balenciaga, I wear whatever it is that I have because I'm representing God. And God is a blessing God. And if I come out there looking any kind of way, then I'm not representing God in the way that he should be represented. So the best way that my jewelry is a reflection, the name brands and the fashion that I choose to wear is an expression of God. Where do you see from an outside and an inside perspective, how do you see imaging in and of itself, absent of the music, the imaging? Where do you stand on that whole dynamic?
I do think that we, in spite of whatever curves we have or don't have, as you know, when you talk about, you know, gospel industry and outside of gospel industry, kind of hard to mix the two. If I would focus on gospel for just a second, Christian, you know, representation, it's important that we, you know, don't look like some of the artists that are in other genres, right? Because then how do we say that we're set apart or that God chose us, or, you know, and all these different things, and nobody can tell the difference between us and them. And it's not even about a us or them thing. You know, for me, I love fashion. I love, you know, clothes that fit well. I don't want to sag. You know what I mean? I don't want clothes hanging off of me. Um,
Right.
is I can't help it that I have an
Right.
hourglass shape.
Right.
um, but what you will not see, you may see some fitted, outfits, and it's not to entice anybody. I think people need to check their hearts and the spirits, that they are dealing with, and try to keep them in check, so that somebody can wear a nice dress. You know what I mean?
Right.
You won't catch me with a split all the way up to my waistline. You
Mm-hmm.
won't catch me with my breasts hanging out. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that. That's just I just don't even feel comfortable with revealing that much of myself publicly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or just and then those images are going to be out there. Somebody's videoing somewhere. Somebody's taking photos somewhere. And when you decided, hey, I want to cover it up, it's already out. Right. So
Right.
you got to be mindful of that. Especially as a gospel artist or recording artist or someone who's representing, the particular genre, then I think, modesty is best, but still be fashionable. You can still be relevant. You can still go with, some of the trends. But, don't get sucked in so much that you become something that you are not representing, right? You start to look like the other representation. On the secular side of things, I think that people are going to be people, no different than the gospel side. However, for as far as the music is concerned and the culture of the music is concerned, then that's the look of it. And so that's what people do. That's the wave that they ride, right? Outside of the music, they may dress like a grandma when they're at home. They probably don't even wear that stuff. They don't even say those things. They don't let
Right.
their children listen to their music. They don't, ride around, all of that. And so they selling a product that they don't even drink or eat or buy themselves.
Right.
And so it's up to us, just like I mentioned, that person in their heart and their spirit. It's up to you or what you allow in your ear gates and your eye gates, and how you operate according to whatever you're receiving. Are you going to live out what they're saying in those songs and apply it to your life? Or are you gonna look at it and say, I know that's not right. Mama didn't raise me like that. So that's not for me. It may sound good, but once you get into some stuff, it's hard to get out of it. And they talk about a lot of
Right.
stuff. You have to be the captain of your soul with the help of Jesus Christ and let him lead the way.
Right. Because I've talked and spoke to some artists, like I said, more so females than men. I mean, you have some male artists that, like I tell people all the time, when I was coming up and Kirk Franklin came out with that the This Is It video where he's
Mm-hmm.
boxing, he got his shirt off in the video, he's boxing against himself or whatever. Like that was a big deal
Mm-hmm.
in my community. Like, why is he running around here with his shirt off and he's trying to show off because he's been working out, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And so, people, they have their own opinions on stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so that's why I always find it interesting when I talk to artists about that very thing.
And they're gonna be right up there in front of that stage, trying
Right.
to. Ain't nothing wrong
Right.
with it. That man
Right.
can display his art and box himself in the ring with his shirt off.
Right.
Who looking? Yeah, he's acting. It's part of it. Now let me stop. Let me stop playing. But for real, you can't depict. You can't take apart everything that a person does and make them the devil.
Right. Right.
We need to stop doing that.
Okay, moving right along. Let's talk about this is another subject that I always talk. It's always interesting to talk to Christian artists about. Let's talk about being paid to do engagements. There are some people who believe that um, artists shouldn't be paid, while there's some. I've spoken to some artists that'll say, I don't ask for an honorarium. But then there are some. I spoke to one lady. She was like, she makes sure that she got a contract that she sends to the church. She said because she said if I don't make them, if I don't hold them to a standard, they won't honor a standard. So there's some. So I get it in writing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of the anomaly. She's like the outlier because a lot of other artists that I've spoken to, they kind of either they don't say anything and just hope for the best, or they say, look, just give me a love offering, and then they get a chicken dinner. You know what I'm saying? Where do you
Some
stand?
Cheetos and a hot
Yeah,
dog.
exactly. So like, where do you stand? How do you feel about that whole issue as being an artist yourself?
I remember when I first started out, and I just wanted somebody to let me in, and I wanted them to listen. I wanted to get the word out, right? And so there was no written deals. There was no written contracts at the time, and no booking, no performance riders and stuff like that starting out. However, it got to a point of where people were calling, they wanted you to come. But if a mainstream gospel artist would come through, you're gonna pay them $50,000.
Right.
When I come through, or when we come through, you ain't even discussing it. It ain't even up for the discussion. We don't bring it up, you ain't gonna bring it up, so then it never gets said. Right. It came to a point of where I had to put a person in between me and the buyer of the talent, right? And let someone be my liaison so they can talk about that, because a lot of these people knew me. We knew each other personally, love them, would do the events and stuff, and we'll still do them. I will still do them. However, I had to put someone in place so that, people will take you a little bit more seriously. That I think they respect it more when you have someone representing your team. And see, I managed myself for a long time, and was able to make some good stride. However, in order to monetize, to be able to keep going, because it's not all about someone getting paid. It's not a paycheck for you, right? But you do need funds to be able to move around. So, you got to travel. If you're going to put the word in, Virginia or in Minnesota or wherever, you got to be able to get there. And whether it's the church that's bringing you there or not, because guess what? When you send those pictures and they want to vet you and want to know all these things and, answer these questions to make sure that you right and you fit for their event or fit for their congregation or their church, when they look at those pretty pictures, they don't want you to come in there looking like, you homeless. They want you to come kind of looking like how they saw you. Right. But guess what? That music, those beats cost it. Recording sessions cost it. Mixing it and mastering it cost it. Taking the photos, getting the artwork done cost it. Buying any inventory that you have up front, merchandise, whatever the case may be. All of that stuff costed money, and we want to be able to put it out. It's a product just like what you buy at a Walmart or Target. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times I would give stuff away. I would give my CDs and stuff away just because you just want, people liked it. They may not have had the money at the time, or, whatever the case may be. You just wanted to bless someone with the word, right? And so you would invest in maybe buy 100 CDs and then pass some of them out. Some of them you would sell, what have you, so you can get your money back. So, because you're going to need to be able to go get to the next spot. So you need funds, you need a budget. And so what is wrong with an artist packaging their talent and their gift into a package and saying, this is what I have to present? And yes, it is for sale. And if your support will help my business, my ministry to be able to continue to go on. But you're getting something too. It's not like you're giving it to us and we're not giving anything back. Right? You're getting the talent, you're getting the music, you're getting whatever it is that you're asking for. We're providing it to you. We're serving you, And so, no, do I think that you should get paid every time? And there's some things you should turn down just because they don't have any money and you have means of getting there, or you have the faith to get there? I don't think you should turn it down. I think that you have to play it by ear and know what you have the ability to do, and if you can actually take a loss on this or not. Because a lot of us are mothers, fathers, we wives, we husbands, and we have families. We have multiple children who a lot of them now are in high school, and that's a whole nother expense, or just in school period. It's a whole nother expense, and so we're doing these things. We have to take care of our families and support our families, and we can't just keep putting out, and never receiving anything to help keep things afloat, especially the things of God, things that God called us to. Yet, if it is God's will, it is also his bill. And I believe he will take care of you. He'll take care of it. He'll make provisions, and he will send people along the way to invest or to bless you so that you can continue on. So not all the time that you have to go to the people, but God will send you a person or people who will pour into you and bless you, and then you're able to go on. That way you ain't got to put pressure on this congregation, because somebody already got you there and they've taken care of you, and you can go and do what you do. And so I think it's a mix of give and take, and you just have to assess. Now I do have a booking contract. I do have a performance rider, and it's not anything harsh, and I'm still negotiable. I do have an honorarium. But yeah, because not only does the music cost and the recording and the production of it and all of that, these outfits and clothes and stuff, and I don't wear this stuff. I don't have to put on makeup every day when I'm at home, none of that. And I'm saying that, it's required for me to wear it, but I'm saying if you want to book an artist, the artist, all of this comes with the artist. And so it costs, it's an expense. I have spent, $750, some things always upwards to $1,000 sometimes for a particular event to prepare for it and get there to prepare for it. Sometimes you make it all back, sometimes you don't. It's just like any other business, So, like I said, yes, I think that there should, be conversations about that, depending if I'm in California, you want me to come to New York, but you want me to pay for the flight, the hotel. Ooh, I hope I don't have to stay on Broadway and in Times Square. And do all of that, come and perform and stuff and everything. And you don't even know if I got money to check my bags when I get back to the airport, right? I've been to some churches in the past where, we went as a group collectively, me and some other guys or what have you. Now, folks, you don't know if we had gas money to get back to all of our houses. We pulled up in this van, and this one guy got to drop everybody off back at home. But they never said, So it just depends. If you can do it and not go in the hole yourself, or even if you do, sometimes you still can do it. But I'm not mad at the artists who say no. We're gonna we'll put this in writing, and make sure that we have an understanding and there's some order to this.
Awesome. So what is it like? So overall, generally speaking, what is it like for you? Do you feel that the church places a high enough importance on what you do versus, like, for instance, you might do an event, right? And they offer you $80, but they offer the guest speaker $580. You know what I mean? Like, do you think that in your just purely based off your experience, generally speaking, do you think that the church has gotten to a point where they place the proper amount of respect or importance or prioritization, whatever the words you want to use, on the artist, whether it be hip hop or singers? Because singers deal with it too. So, what in your experience, what do you think? Do you think that they've evolved to that point yet, or no?
I think some are at least trying. Some are at least trying. But But yet still, like I said, you will spend 50,000 on a mainstream artist or on a well-known gospel artist that's mainstream, and you'll have a Christian rapper come through and you don't even want to give them $50. That's wrong. You know what I mean? Because they're serving. I guess it's just levels to this thing, It's it, and that's how they look at it, and who they
Right.
value, and who's more worthy, or whatever the case may be. Now, if you have a rapper that's from hometown, and they just getting out and stuff or whatever, I don't expect you to write a $50,000 check out. I don't.
Right.
Because
Right.
he probably doesn't have a band, he doesn't have a team of people. See, these other artists is charging this 50 or 100,000 and stuff. They have people they charging so much because they gotta pay other people. They have a whole team. They got folks that have to get them there, get their wardrobe ready and all that stuff, make the arrangements, make sure they have what they need on the road, and they have an entourage. Those people are getting paid as well. And so but yet people who organizers or buyers of the talent seem to understand what they have to pay for, and they will sign that check fast. But when it comes to someone that may be local or may not be as large a name, there seems to be a challenge there. But things have a way of turning around, and people will still receive the honor that is due them. So you may not get it as an artist, but you may get it when you move on to the next phase in your life, and because of the seeds that you planted, you know what I mean? God will still bless you. You may just not do it while you're in your artistry. It may come later.
That's a fact. Okay. So I only got a couple more questions for you. I know you got a lot of stuff you probably could be doing. You mentioned that you've made appearances in various television shows and things like that. How has that has that had any influence on your music career or vice versa? Like, do you find that they ever intersect, or are they totally, or up to this point, have they been like totally independent of each other?
One gift opened the door for another. It was music that opened me up to modeling. The modeling opened me up to acting, working with certain people, networking with them, and then they would connect me on to the next phase, right? And it was still all God, right? Yes, I do think that the variety of things that I am in and that I have done do help to enhance some of the other stuff that I'm doing. So the fact that I was able to, land a core feature role on Empire and be on 2 episodes there has been really big for me. Even though the show has been gone for a couple years now, out of season, folks are still talking about it, So when they interview me, they're excited when they invite me to come out or whatever the case may be, because, they still get a chance to meet a person who, was on that show and this and that or whatever. And so I do think that, things can intertwine, and, one could enhance the other and become an asset to, some other things that you are in and doing. So yeah, like everything matters.
Yeah. Okay, so this is my last 2 questions for you. What's the most common misconception that you find that people have about you?
I don't know what's wrong with these people. I don't know what they acknowledge. Let me stop playing. I think that how sometimes we don't get to know each other,
Right.
and know one another, and we think that a person is a certain way, and perception can be everything. In reality, you haven't even given yourself a chance, or the person a chance to engage. And so I think that when you get to know a person, you get to really see how they really are. And some people may look at the photos and the pictures and think she's very beautiful and she seems quiet and, reserved or down to earth. And some folks may look at it and say, who she thinks she is. She thinks she cute, whatever, their thoughts are. They can be negative. without knowing a person. But once you get to know that person, you realize that you have some things in common. There aren't a lot of differences, but you can respect those differences. You can respect their uniqueness, and you can love them for that. I think I may be intimidating to some people because of the delivery of the music. It's kind of like a hard delivery or whatever. So I think that can be a little, off-putting for some folks. I think that, some people can be intimidated by the way you look, and so, or that you have a couple things going for yourself. And I think there may be like a root of insecurity or something. So, um, yeah, I really don't try and focus on how people perceive me. I'm careful with how I present myself because I want my brand to, stand for something.
Right.
But me personally, as a person, I think that folks, know once they get a chance to talk to me or meet me in person that, it's real, it's authentic, it's genuine, it's down to earth. I'm hospitable and understanding, caring, compassionate, loving, and can be a good friend. So if they don't give me a chance because they look at me or think something or someone else said something and they never give themselves a chance to come into my space, or and vice versa, me come into theirs because of perception and what they think, then God bless them. At this point, God bless and enjoy your life.
Listen,
I
I
am.
respect that. I respect that. I was just talking to the guests before. Shout out to Amber Crystal. We were talking about that very thing. People they never have a conversation with you. They never have any contact with you, but just based off of your outer appearance, they make certain generalizations about you. And she laughed, but I was like, with me myself, with myself, I dealt with a lot of self-esteem issues growing up, being too dark, you know what I'm saying? I was super skinny, you know what I'm saying? Like, just, self-image was a real struggle for me. So, and I always used to wonder how good looking people, or people I perceive to be good looking, I always wonder, like, what's life like for you? What is that? How do you, what I'm saying? How do you do it? You know what I'm saying? What's life like? Is it hard? Is it easier for you? Like, or is it? And so fast forward to now, I ask people, like, is it a help or a hindrance when you actually, as the old people
Both.
say, when you look like something? Is it a help or a hindrance for you because of what you just said? People make judgments, whether it be positive or negative. They think you're too pretty to be able to do good business. You know what I'm saying? Like, I shoot, she too pretty, so I know I can get 90%. I'll just shoot her 10. You know what I'm saying? She'll go for that. You know what I'm saying? People think, whatever.
But when you don't do it, they label you as being difficult to work with.
Facts, and they'll incorporate they'll say, because she pretty, she thinks she you know what I'm saying, and one has
Yeah,
nothing to
yeah,
do with the other,
yeah.
but one has
They will
nothing to do with the other.
demonize.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so I absolutely get it. But this is my final question for you. It's a question that I ask all my guests. So once I ask it, I just want you to think about it and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me. I know I don't have to say that to you, but it's just a disclaimer that I do, what I have to do.
Okay.
The question is this. What would have to happen in your life, if it
Mm.
has not happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
I think success is like faith. You can't see it when you get into it, but at some point you see what you thought could always be. And I think success is like that. And so Other people can look at me and say she's successful based on what they see that I've done. My vision of success may include these things that I've done, but may not be my peak, in my opinion, according to the vision that I have for me. And so I think that I'm a little hard on myself when it comes to things like that, because I know what my expectation is and where I'm trying to go. And so I will get a, have this big accomplishment or this accolade or something happen, and they, yay, rah, and I'm off to the next thing. I ain't even gave myself time to celebrate it. I'm just on to the next thing, because still in pursuit, and so I want to be able to see. And in order to be able to see success, you have to work. You have to be consistent. You have to be go, 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 and put your hand to the plow. And that's why I can't be still long enough to relish in certain moments of what other people look at as success, because I'm still trying to get to my idea of success. I'll be successful when I can travel across the United States and travel across the world to other countries and be able to put seed in the ground monetarily, and help to develop communities. And, if they need water or whatever the case may be, come into areas in the States and, help different communities, children, education, all of that. When I'm able to do that, and I'll probably label myself successful. I have been successful. I've made it to the points and to the goals that I've wanted to at this point in my life. But my ultimate vision of success is me being able to move around with no problem like that and help single mothers and people who need, groceries and things of that nature, children who may need clothing, water, clean water. Like, I want to be able to do those things seamlessly. And in my opinion, then I will be successful. Not successful just because I got these, plaques and awards and nominations and so many trophies and all of that stuff. I was successful at doing something, but that's not the goal.
Right. Okay. So if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, first off, do you accept beat submissions? Do you accept song submissions? I'm pretty sure when you rap, you don't do the song submission, but you accept tracks? Do you do collabs? If so, how do people get in touch with you?
I am open to collaborations. Yes, I am. So, keep them coming. I got about 15 or 16 people who are, wanting some now, features now. Yeah, I'm open to all of that. You can reach out. There's a link tree in my bio, in my profiles on social media. You can follow me at official Miz Tiffany on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on TikTok a little bit, YouTube. I have things there. You can always reach out. I get those messages directly, or someone gets them and they will give them directly to me. And I'm going to respond, whether it's yay or nay. I love working with all types of people and who are working on something positive. So I'm sure that we can work something out. But yeah, hit me up in the link tree. There's a booking request there, a form of contact. The email is there, all of that, inbox, DM, however. But yeah, you will be able to reach me.
Awesome. I know we only scratched the surface, because when I'm looking at your bio as we're talking, and I'm thinking to myself, there's no way that I'm going to be able to get through all of this in an hour. So I would like to, send you an invitation, an open invitation to come back whenever, there's something you want to promote and anything that you want to talk about. Or if you want to just do a part 2 of this interview, that's absolutely cool too. But I want to be, a platform that you can come on and let people know what you're doing. I think your story is very inspirational. Like I said, I didn't know about the whole car accident thing, and that's something that I definitely would want to dive deeper into. So again, I want to reserve to tell you that you have an open invitation here. Just let me know and we can make it happen. And that's
Thank
that.
you.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you want to share with the people before we sign off?
Yes. So be sure to go over to validofoods.com. Valido Foods is VALIDO, validofoods.com. Click on that Faith and Spice tab and check out this Miss Tiffany's all-purpose Southern rub
See,
for
I
your smoked and
forgot
grilled
about that.
meats and all of your
Oh,
vegetable and potato and cooked meat.
yeah, I
You
forgot
even get
about
a
that.
QR code to the music on the back of the spice bottle.
Wow, I forgot about that too. I was gonna say something about that too. Uh, see what I'm saying? Like it's just too much. It's too much. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. Stop right now. Don't do nothing else. But
I gotta come out with
again,
another book. What you talking about? We got another book coming out. The doctor has to publish a book,
I know
a
that's
new
right.
book.
I know that's right. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on, and definitely once you get that going, please make this one of your stops because we want to talk about it. Um, I appreciate you coming on, and I wish you much blessings on everything that you have going on going forward, and even the things that you haven't thought of yet, the things that you're going to think of. I wish you much blessings on that. Again, your
Thank
music,
you.
I'm digging the music. The music is official, and I'm definitely going to pass this on. I was talking to somebody from Praise Hallelujah Radio today about you at lunchtime today. So so I'm
Baby
going to
Jesus.
he told me to pass on the email that you sent me because I was telling him about how detailed it was and everything. So I'm going to send it to him, and hopefully you guys can make a connection too, because he interviews everybody. Like he just did Erica Campbell, he did Kaylin Carr, he does everybody. So yeah,
Okay, that'll be
yes,
cool. Inbox me his
absolutely.
name. I'll wait for I
Will
know
do.
who it is. He's out.
Yeah, he's out of Philly. He's based in Philly. Um,
Okay.
like I said, it's Praise Hallelujah Radio. Um, yeah, he's a pretty good dude. Isn't Daryl? I forgot his last name. We'll talk though. We'll talk. Don't worry about it. We'll talk. But I told him I'm gonna pass it on. Pass on your stuff to him or whatever, and we're gonna see what happens. Um, But again, I thank you. I appreciate you. And I wish you a good night and an awesome weekend. And again, we will definitely be in touch. Please feel free to hit me up anytime to come back on the platform. More than happy to have
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You have a good night and
you.
God
You too.
bless.
God bless. There you have it, man. That was episode number 2 for the night. Shout out to Miss Tiffany, Dr. Tiffany. Please go to her page, check out her music, check out her spices, check out her story. She has an amazing story. Um, I hope you learned something tonight. I definitely did. Listen, walk out that vision, walk out that plan that God has given you, man. We depending on you. We need you. We need you. And that's that. I ain't gonna go all in and deep, but how I always say, if he keeping you up or if it's keeping you up, and then that God is leading you to do it, walk in it. Just do it, just like the Nike motto. With that being said, you guys have a good night, and I'll holler at y'all next week. Let's take a walk.